We are following those unconfirmed reports that 2 Russian rockets have landed within Poland, killing 2 people. Poland, a NATO ally, as you know, the country's prime minister calling an urgent meeting with his defense ministers. ABC News cannot confirm those reports at this time, but we do have a Pentagon response in just a moment. All of this happening as intensifying, the war in Ukraine rather intensified overnight. A barrage of nearly 100 Russian missiles striking several regions across the nation, including the capital city of Kyiv. This is now the highest number of missiles launched in a single day since the start of the full-scale invasion. Kyiv's mayor is saying that 2 residential buildings were hit, while several other missiles were shot down by Ukraine's air defense. All of this coming after Ukraine's president addressed global leaders at the G20 summit in Bali, Indonesia. Zelensky condemning Russian President Vladimir Putin's invasion. ABC News foreign correspondent Soufi Burridge joining me now in just a moment from Kyiv, along with senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez. Louis, let's go ahead and start with you. How exactly is the U.S. responding, and what exactly can you confirm for us right now at this hour?
Good afternoon, Kara. What we are hearing here at the Pentagon is that they are trying to verify whether these reports are credible and whether they can be corroborated. Obviously, as you mentioned right there at the top, a lot of interest about whether this is actually happened, because it would escalate things greatly. So that's why at the just completed Pentagon briefing a short time ago, Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, the Pentagon's top spokesman, decided to lead the briefing with a statement about these reports, and here's what he had to say.
When it comes to force protection, we always take the safety and security of our troops, no matter where they're serving, very seriously. And so we're very confident in any force protection measures that we take, whether it be Poland or elsewhere. But again, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves here. We're going to get the facts, and when we have more to provide, we will. Thank you.
This was information that was coming in near the top of this briefing that just concluded. And when he said at the top of this briefing, what he said was essentially, we are aware of the information, we are trying to corroborate it, but we don't have any information at this time. Obviously, there's something that is very significant. This situation like this opens up a host of scenarios. And obviously, those are the questions that Ryder was asked repeatedly by Pentagon reporters. They were asking about Article 5. That's the language inside the NATO compact, the treaty that allows that if one country is attacked by somebody else, then the entire alliance can respond. So obviously, deep concern here at the Pentagon, deep concerns, I think, all over Washington and probably all over Western Europe right now, as officials in Poland are meeting on this, trying to ascertain exactly what has happened and whether these unconfirmed reports are accurate.
Change the whole dynamic of the war right now in Ukraine. So, Tom, you heard Louis there from the Pentagon. Now we're finally getting some feedback from those there and from our Department of Defense, and how exactly they're going to handle this, and that they're trying to corroborate this information. What are you learning about these strikes right now, these unconfirmed strikes in Poland? Tom, anything new, anything you can add?
Well, Kira, I think it's good to step back and tell you what we can definitively say about events leading up to this event, of which, you know, the exact details are very unclear at this precise moment. What we can say is that throughout today here in Ukraine, Russia launched an unprecedented wave or waves of missile attacks and drone attacks across the country. So they hit energy infrastructure once again, more than 90 missiles, according to Ukrainian officials. Now, Ukraine's air defense went into action, Ukrainian officials saying they shot down more than 70 of those missiles. And crucially, in the context of these reported events over the border in Poland, is that Russia was hitting targets in the Lviv region. Now, that is the region right up in the sort of northwesterly corner of Ukraine, and that is very near to the border. And over that border, just a matter of kilometers, is that small Polish town where we're getting those reports from that there was some type of explosion. Now, again, as Louis said, we cannot confirm that it is Russian missiles that have gone over the border into Polish territory. One scenario, and it is just a scenario, reading all the signals, watching this closely as this has developed, is that Ukrainian air defense has potentially shot down a Russian missile and there is some form of collateral. Now, it is only a theory. We cannot confirm that at all, and we have no real concrete information to back that theory up. But these are all of the sort of possibilities that officials will be looking at right now. And we can say that the Polish Security and Defense Council, effectively their top security and defense officials, are meeting right now. They are considering all of the evidence, and they are clearly taking their time on this. That's what the message we're getting, not only from the US, but from Polish officials, from officials across Europe. They're taking their time on this. They want to be sure about exactly what happened because the stakes are incredibly high. Kira?
And Tom, we're starting to get some information in here. Apparent Russia is denying responsibility for the possible missiles that landed in Poland. That is coming to us now. Apparently, they've put out some type of statement denying this. But Louis, if indeed this has happened, when we talk about NATO territory here, I mean, is the U.S. prepared to respond here? What would the options be at this point?
Well, there would be many options here, Kara, because what we're talking about is the presence of U.S. military personnel inside Poland, actually in that border area. There are American troops that have been positioned in the wake of the Russians' invasion of Ukraine since February that have been positioned nearly 5 miles from the long length of that border. So if this came near the American troops, that's another escalation. But the main concern here is that Poland is a member of NATO. Ukraine is not. That's why the United States has only been providing military assistance. It hasn't been providing direct military troops because they're not a part of NATO. But when it happens to cross a border into Poland, it raises the stakes tremendously. Like Tom mentioned, was it an errant missile? Was it done on purpose? If it even was a missile, could it be just another explosion that is being interpreted as a missile strike? There's a whole range of things that need to be considered here, and officials want to know for sure before they step forward and take action as an alliance, because collectively that's how NATO will respond. And don't forget, President Biden has been very firm that no inch of the United States will defend every inch of NATO territory.
So the Russian Defense Ministry did put out this statement, Louis and Tom, saying that no strikes on targets near the Ukrainian-Polish state border were made by Russian means of destruction. Also, according to Russian Defense Ministry, it says in this statement, the wreckage published in hot pursuit by the Polish media from the scene has nothing to do with Russian weapons. Are you getting any intel, Tom, from the Russian Defense Ministry? Is this something that's coming in new to you as well? Because clearly you're on the air with this. I'm just wondering, normally when the Russian Defense Ministry puts out a statement, you have to verify that as well.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kira, I've covered Ukraine and Russia's actions in Ukraine for years. And look, everything that Russia says about anything to do with Ukraine has to be taken with a massive pinch of salt. They lie continually. So them denying it doesn't really give us, I think, as independent journalists, much more of an insight into the reality on the ground. I mean, I think it's vaguely interesting that they've gone so far to say we actually didn't target anything near the border. That said, we know that they did target, because we've seen one of our producers, actually, based in Lviv city, was showing us videos of a major explosion not far from that city. Now, that's not far from the border at all. So, you know, Russia's probably being a bit disingenuous there. We'll have to wait and see. Let's wait for Western officials, Western authorities, particularly the Polish authorities, to bring forward the facts. Kira?
All right. Tom, Louis, thank you so much. We'll continue to follow this breaking news coverage.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.